Welcome back to part 2 of Squee 913's 50th subscribers question and answer extravaganza. I don't know, I just made that name up right now. Let's see, what else do we got here? My name is not Lily, who is another very big supporter of me, by the way, and thank you so much. He asked me if I could go and change one day in history, what would it be? Because I'm a history major. And, I thought about that, and here's the weird part, is that that's a very difficult question to answer, because if you really think about it, most history can't be changed in a day. For example, I could go back and I could stop Prince Ferdinand from being executed or assassinated, which is what started World War One. But in all reality, Europe was already a powder keg ready to blow. And if it wasn't the assassination of Prince Ferdinand, it would have been something maybe 6 months later, and it was going to happen. So it's rare that there's an instance that in one day changed the course of events for a long period of time. But I did think of one that possibly could work like that. If I could go back in history and change one thing, I would change Pope Urban II's speech at Claremont? I think it was Claremont. Back in 1096, which started the First Crusade. Before that speech, where he asked people to rise up and attack the Holy Land, no one had even considered the idea of a holy war. It had never crossed anyone's minds. They didn't even know what a crusade was. And if he had not given that speech, it's very possible that there never would have been any crusades at all, which would have saved thousands and thousands of lives and countless heartbreak and tons of rivalries that continue to this day, not to mention all the Jewish people that got caught up in the middle. It's a horrible, horrible mess that might have all been averted if Pope Urban II hadn't given that speech. Maybe not, but it would be worth a try. So if I could change one day in history, it would be that day. And the next question, let's go with Almost Skater Chris asked why Jack. Now, what he's referring to when he says why Jack is, as you all know, in my video game Let's Plays, I like to have little companions, so to speak. If it's not Mr. Cuddles from Fallout New Vegas. Alright, Teddy, actually affectionately named Mr. Cuddles. Alright, buddy, I need you to go around to the left and create a distraction. Alright? Go. 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 Fine, you can stay with me. I swear, he's so useless in a fight. Ah, but he's adorable. Or Horsey from Assassin's Creed, or most newly, Billy the Wyvern. You're with me, aren't you, Billy? Oh, I feel better now. Come on, Billy. Let's go.
Ready? Just name what you want.
Can you fit through the door? Yes, you can. Good job, Billy. I love him. It is this little guy. Jack! Jack, keep him busy. Oh, thank God, Jack. Jack, no. Jack, no. No, don't attack the Big Mac. He's our friend. Oh, now you're both dead. It's just me and Jack. That's alright, we can do it. Jack, you're the best teammate I've ever had. You're the only one that's there for me. Alright, you see that? See, Grunt? That's how it's done. Schooled by a drone. You should be ashamed of yourself. So the question is, why name him Jack, especially when there's already someone named Jack in the game? And that's because of a personal thing of mine. When I was a kid, I developed a story that I wanted to turn into a book one day, and as I got older, the story never really went away. It just grew and grew until where I had an entire fantasy world, you could say, that was stuck in my head, and I've just never had time to write. But the main characters in it were a group of warriors that you call Demonstran, and I'm not going to get into all the details of the world. If you guys ever want to know, just let me know and I'll be happy to tell you. I could talk about it all day. But the main guys basically had suits of armor that were run by supercomputers, and the supercomputers had the ability to manifest themselves as little balls, holographic balls of light that could move around and do things. And when I played Mass Effect 2, the engineer class, and the first time I summoned that ball, that drone, I was like, holy crap, it's Jack. because Jack was the main character's supercomputer. It's what his name was. And it was such a perfect fit that I couldn't think of anything of him being anyone else besides Jack. And when I started my Let's Play, I thought I would try and call him Danny because there already was a Jack. But it didn't work. I couldn't do it. I kept calling him Jack. So I just gave up. And he was Jack. And quite honestly, I think he's a much better Jack than the Jack in the game. So, Jack can suck it. Not the combat drone Jack, the other Jack. So, one last question here, also from Almost Skater Chris. No, I'm sorry, not my last question, but another question from Almost Skater Chris was, how old are you? And that's a hard question to answer, because are you talking physically or mentally? Because there's a big difference there. Physically, I'm 28 years old. Mentally, well, quite a bit younger, I'm afraid. I kind of have a stunted growth in that department. But yeah. Now, the actual last question is from Claude Rebel, where he asks, what rank was I in the military? For anyone who doesn't know, I was in the Army National Guard, of all things. I intended to just do my 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year and live a normal life and go to college that way. Of course, I had the fortune of signing up 3 weeks before September 11th, and my plans changed quite a bit. I spent over 2 years deployed. I never went to a war zone, thankfully, but I trained and expected to go, and I never actually went. I spent a lot of time deployed on a chemical weapons facility, and I spent a lot of time in Germany playing the bad guys, which was a lot of fun. But what rank was I? I was E4, or what we call a specialist, or what we really call a sham shield. That's right. Specialist is the last rank before you become an NCO, which means you actually have responsibilities. So a specialist is a very highly trained, very highly knowledgeable person who doesn't have to do much of anything. Theoretically. I still had to do tons of stuff, but it was a fun rank. And that's what rank I was. So, that's about it for all the questions. If anyone else has any more questions of me, of course you can always ask me, and I'm always happy to answer them for you. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Once again, thank you, every single one of you, for supporting me in this crazy little hobby of mine. I love it to death, and I have no intentions of stopping anytime soon. In fact, I cannot wait until I get to do the next subscriber special for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here, and since there's plenty of time left, I'm going to leave you with the opening for Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which is, like I said, one of the games I'm thinking about Let's Playing in the future, and I think this is just a fantastic opening, especially considering that this game was for the PlayStation originally. So, take care, everyone, and I will see you in my Let's Plays.
Kain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with Kain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Kain would enter the state of change and emerge with a new gift. Some years after the Master, our evolution would follow, until I had the honor of surpassing my lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward. Agony. There was only one possible outcome. My nation. I, Raziel, was to suffer the fate of traitors and weaklings, to burn forever in the bowels of the Lake of the Dead. Cast him in. Tumbling, burning with white-hot fire, I plunged into the depths of the abyss. Unspeakable pain, relentless agony. Time ceased to exist. Only this torture and a deepening hatred of the hypocrisy that damned me to this hell. An eternity passed, and my torment receded, bringing me back from the precipice of madness. The descent had destroyed me, and yet I lived.